Your thoughts don't need solving tonight. Your brain knows how to quiet itself. Welcome to Dream Physiology. Night has a way of bringing thoughts to the surface. Even when your body feels tired, even when your day has finally ended, your mind sometimes continues running its own quiet race. You lie down, hoping for rest, but the moment your head touches the pillow, the thoughts begin to move. Not loud, not chaotic, but persistent. A replay of conversations, a worry about tomorrow, a question that has no clear answer, a memory you did not ask to remember, a dozen small pieces of unfinished thinking. This experience is more common than most people admit. Overthinking at night feels private, almost hidden, as if you are the only one awake in a world of sleeping minds. It creates a soft weight behind your eyes, a quiet restlessness in your chest. You want to slow your thoughts, but they continue drifting from topic to topic, gathering momentum, shaping themselves into loops. Yet something extraordinary happens once you fall asleep. While your conscious mind releases control, your brain begins its nightly work of healing the very patterns that kept you awake. The parts of your mind that felt crowded, tangled, or noisy begin to reorganize themselves. What seemed overwhelming just hours earlier begins to lose its sharpness. As you sleep, the brain performs one of the most beautiful and essential tasks of human physiology. It cleans, sorts, resets, and rewires the patterns of overthinking that you struggled with in the quiet moments of the night. This is not something you force. It is not a technique or a practice. It is a natural design, something the human brain has learned to do over thousands of years. Sleep softens the edges of thoughts. It reduces the emotional charge that fuels mental loops. It reorganizes ideas so they no longer fight for space. It allows the deeper layers of your mind to shine light on what truly matters and gently let go of what does not. In this long story, you will travel through the full architecture of sleep and discover how each stage contributes to the healing of an overwhelmed mind. You will explore why thoughts feel louder at night, how the prefrontal cortex releases its grip, why the default mode network becomes calmer, how dreams process unresolved thinking, and how morning clarity emerges as a gift of nighttime restructuring. As you listen, let your breath slow. Let your shoulders drop. There is nothing you need to solve right now. This story is not here to demand anything from you. It is here to accompany you through the night at a pace that feels safe, calm, and unhurried. Allow the night to open. Allow your mind to soften. Allow the story to carry you through the gentle places where healing begins. Your thoughts have been with you all day. Now let your body and brain take over the work of easing them. There is a moment almost everyone knows, though few describe it. You turn off the lights, settle into the softness beneath you, and wait for the calm to arrive. For a brief second, there is silence. Then the thoughts begin to drift in. Not harmful, not dramatic, just many. One thought leads to another. A memory pulls you backward. A worry pulls you forward. A detail from the day rises without warning. The mind becomes a quiet room filled with movement. Overthinking does not always feel frantic. Sometimes it feels slow and heavy, like fog drifting across the surface of a still lake. Other times, it feels like small sparks of thought scattered across your awareness. But whether it feels dense or subtle, it takes up space inside you. It narrows your attention. It keeps your mind slightly awake, even as your body tries to sink into rest. Why does this happen? Why do thoughts gather at night instead of fading away? The answer lies in the shifting balance between two forces inside the brain. During the day, the mind is guided by tasks, conversation, movement, and external focus. The world outside you demands your attention, so the world inside you stays quieter. But once the external noise stops, once you are alone with yourself, the internal networks remain active. The brain turns inward, and everything you did not process during the day rises softly to the surface. These thoughts appear because your mind is still trying to organize your day. It is still trying to solve problems. It is still trying to protect you. Overthinking is rarely a sign of weakness. It is often a sign that the brain has been working hard without enough time to digest what it has taken in. You carry responsibilities, emotions, expectations, and daily interactions, and the brain tries to make sense of them all in the quietest moments. In this early stage of night, the prefrontal cortex remains alert. This is the part of your brain responsible for planning, analyzing, evaluating, and predicting. It is also the part most involved in overthinking. When it is active, thoughts feel structured, repetitive, and difficult to release. Because the prefrontal cortex is still carrying the weight of your day, it continues running the loops you did not resolve. The default mode network, another major contributor to overthinking, also becomes active as you lie in bed. This network is responsible for internal dialogue, self-reflection, and imagination. When it is balanced, it helps you understand your experiences. But when it is overloaded, it creates too much internal noise. It pulls you into memory, expectation, and mental wandering. Overthinking at night is also shaped by small emotional signals that linger beneath your awareness. You may not feel strong emotion, but the emotional centers of the brain still influence how thoughts move. A tiny hint of uncertainty may magnify a simple idea. A quiet worry may turn a single thought into a loop. Emotional tone gives thoughts weight, even when the feeling itself is subtle. This is why overthinking often feels heavier at night than during the day. Without external anchors, without conversation or activity to ground you, internal thought patterns grow louder. The brain is searching for resolution. It is searching for closure. It is searching for order in the small messiness of daily life. But this stage does not last forever. The mind may feel crowded in these early minutes of rest, but the brain is already preparing to shift into a different state. As your breath slows and your muscles settle, the prefrontal cortex begins its gentle descent into quiet. It loosens its grip. It becomes less insistent. The thoughts lose a bit of their organization. They drift instead of tighten. This drifting is the beginning of healing. In these moments, you may notice your thoughts begin to change shape. They become softer, less structured, less urgent. Instead of repeating themselves, they begin to dissolve. This is the first sign that your brain is letting go of conscious control and preparing to enter the deeper layers of sleep. The brain does not push thoughts away. It simply stops feeding them. It allows them to float. It gives them space. As this happens, the emotional tone shifts as well. The subtle pressure in the chest softens. The inner restlessness quiets. The mind begins to release the need to think clearly. It begins to surrender to something slower, deeper, and more ancient. This is the transition the night has been waiting for. As your awareness loosens,
the parts of your brain responsible for overthinking begin to dim. The default mode network loses its grip on memory. The prefrontal cortex cools down. The emotional centers soften their influence, and the systems responsible for sleep begin to rise. Melatonin grows stronger. Body temperature lowers. The brain waves slow. Thoughts stretch out and fade, leaving small traces behind them. These traces will be collected later, sorted, reorganized, and transformed into clarity. But for now, you drift. This first letting go is the doorway into the healing that sleep offers. Overthinking cannot repair itself while you are awake. It needs the deeper silence of sleep. It needs the slower waves of early night. It needs the dreamlike freedom of REM. It needs the brain's nightly cycle of clearing, pruning, and strengthening. When you close your eyes, you are not abandoning your thoughts. You are handing them over. You are giving your brain the chance to do for you what you cannot do consciously. You are allowing the night to help you sort through the noise. And this is the beginning of the story of how your brain heals overthinking. A story that unfolds slowly as the night deepens and as your mind is gently carried into the place where thoughts no longer control you.
There's a particular heaviness that settles in the mind at night, a quiet weight that does not feel overwhelming but still lingers beneath the surface. In the dim light of your bedroom, when the world has grown still and the day has finally loosened its hold, thoughts begin to move differently. They stretch out, they unfold, they echo more clearly inside the quiet of your mind. You may not want them to stay, yet they return, gentle but persistent. Many people wonder why their thoughts feel busier at night than during the day. It may seem counterintuitive. The body is tired, the external world is quiet. There are no immediate demands, no conversations to maintain, no tasks waiting to be completed. And yet, as soon as the lights fade and you are alone with your breath, the mind seems to wake up in its own way. It begins replaying the day, analyzing decisions, revisiting memories, imagining possibilities, worrying about tomorrow, or drifting into corners of thought that remained untouched for hours. To understand this pattern, you must look at what the brain has been carrying all day. During the hours of wakefulness, the mind is in constant motion. It jumps quickly from one task to the next. It responds to people, solves problems, filters information, and adjusts to unexpected moments. The cognitive load builds quietly, even when you do not notice. Small emotional signals accumulate. Worries pause in the background. Ideas wait for attention. Questions remain unresolved. Your brain holds on to these loose threads until it has the time and space to examine them. Night provides that space. When you finally lie down and nothing external requires your focus, the internal world becomes more visible. The mind suddenly has room to breathe, and in that room, thoughts that were tucked away begin to surface. Overthinking is not faulty thinking. It is thinking without distraction. It is the brain's attempt to sort through everything it did not have time to process. The prefrontal cortex, the center of planning and decision-making, plays a major role here. It is the part of your brain that measures your choices, evaluates your actions, and predicts what might happen next. Throughout the day, it stays active because the world around you demands it. But once you stop engaging with external tasks, the prefrontal cortex shifts its focus inward. Without conversations or work or screens directing its attention outward, it turns toward the unfinished cognitive tasks of the day. It revisits what you said, what you heard, what you decided, and what you still need to solve. This shift is natural, but in some people it becomes amplified. The prefrontal cortex can remain slightly overactive at night, especially if the day was mentally demanding or emotionally charged. It tries to continue organizing even when you are ready to rest. The result is a stream of thoughts that feels harder to slow down. The default mode network also becomes more active in nighttime stillness. This network is responsible for internal reflection and self-referential thinking. When it is balanced, it helps you understand yourself and integrate your experiences. But when it carries too much from the day, it can contribute to loops of overthinking. Memories arise, old conversations resurface. The mind tries to connect pieces that do not need immediate resolution. The lack of external stimulation means this network can grow louder, its patterns becoming more noticeable. There is also a subtle emotional dynamic at play. During the day, your emotional signals are influenced by social interaction, movement, and purposeful engagement. Even small doses of activity can buffer emotional tension. But at night, when you are still, any lingering emotion becomes more apparent. You may not consciously feel anxious or sad or uncertain, but the emotional centers of your brain can quietly influence your thoughts. Even a mild, unnoticed feeling can amplify mental loops. This is why many people describe nighttime overthinking as feeling heavier than daytime thinking. The emotional tone is more visible in silence. The mind interprets its own thoughts with more seriousness. A small concern can appear larger. A simple memory can feel more vivid. The combination of cognitive load and emotional residue give thoughts depth, and that depth can make them harder to release. But overthinking before sleep is not a sign that something is wrong with you. In fact, it is part of a natural transition. It is your brain attempting to bring its internal state into order before allowing you to enter deeper sleep. The mind does not want to carry unresolved material into the night unless it must. It tries to organize what it can, even if it cannot complete the process. The very act of thinking at night is your brain preparing for the healing that sleep provides. There is a moment, however, when this early stage thinking shifts. As your body begins to relax, as your breath deepens, and as melatonin strengthens its influence, the mind moves away from cognitive effort. The prefrontal cortex begins to quiet. The default mode network loses some of its intensity. The emotional charge starts to soften. The thoughts themselves become less structured. They float instead of cling. They wander instead of spiral. This transition is delicate. You may notice it in the way your thoughts turn dreamlike, forming unusual or surreal combinations. You may drift between awareness and something softer, something looser. The edges of thought blur. The mind slips out of analysis and into something more fluid. This is the earliest stage of sleep preparing to take over. As the descent continues, the brain waves shift from faster beta rhythms to slower alpha waves. These waves create a sense of calm. They open the internal space where the mind stops insisting on clarity. Then comes theta, a deeper slowing of the mind. In theta, the separation between thinking and dreaming begins to fade. Thoughts lose their shape. They stretch, soften, and dissolve. The brain is letting go of control. This process is essential because overthinking cannot resolve itself through conscious effort. The loops you create while awake are shaped by the very systems that need rest. The brain cannot break its own cycles while those cycles are active. It needs the deeper silence of sleep. It needs slow wave patterns. It needs the emotional recalibration of REM. It needs time away from the prefrontal cortex and the default mode network. What feels like an overload of thought before sleep is actually the brain preparing for a reset. The mind is surfacing the material that sleep will soon reorganize, prune, and calm. The nighttime mind is a threshold mind. It stands at the edge of healing, gathering what needs to be released and preparing it for transformation.
Many people believe overthinking reflects personal failure or emotional weakness. In truth, it reflects cognitive activity that has not yet been processed. It reflects a mind that cares, a mind that listens, a mind that tries to understand. But the brain was never designed to complete this work while awake. Its most powerful tools for healing overthinking activate only during sleep. As the night deepens and the mind begins to drift, the cognitive load loosens, the mental clutter begins to settle, the emotional influences soften. You cross from wakeful overthinking into the first true moments of rest. And in that crossing, the brain begins its quiet work. It gathers, sorts, and gently prepares every unprocessed thought for the healing that will come later. You may not notice the transition when it happens. You may simply feel yourself slipping inward into a deeper quiet. But inside your brain, the shift is profound. The systems that created overthinking are beginning to rest. The systems that heal overthinking are beginning to rise. And soon, as sleep takes hold, you will enter the stage where healing truly begins.
There is a quiet moment in the night when you begin shifting from wakefulness into something softer. You may not notice it as it happens. It does not announce itself. It does not arrive suddenly. Instead, it drifts in like a tide rising at the edge of the shore. Your thoughts begin elongating. They lose their sharp edges. Your body feels heavier, warmer, more at ease. Your breath slows without effort. Something inside you is changing direction. The mind that was filled with activity is beginning to release its hold. This shift is one of the most important transitions in human physiology. It is the bridge between conscious thinking and the deeper healing states of sleep. It is where overthinking begins to lose its power. The brain cannot heal thought while thought is still active. It must guide you into a quieter state first. That guidance begins here, in the earliest descent toward sleep. As you settle into bed and your muscles begin to relax, your brain starts adjusting its internal rhythms. The fast, purposeful beta waves of daytime cognition begin to ease. They are replaced by slower, more rhythmic alpha waves. Alpha waves bring a sense of calm. They open a gentle space where the mind no longer feels driven. They create a soft, drifting quality in your awareness. You may notice your thoughts feel lighter, less structured. You may begin to imagine things unintentionally, as if small dreamlike pictures are forming without effort. This alpha stage is the first sign that your prefrontal cortex is stepping back. It no longer leads with analysis or planning. It no longer replays the details of the day with the same intensity. Its voice becomes quiet. Its grip loosens. This loosening is necessary because the prefrontal cortex is one of the main engines of overthinking. As long as it remains active, thoughts stay organized, repetitive, and insistent. When it begins to rest, those loops finally weaken. But the brain does not shut off the prefrontal cortex all at once. It dims it slowly. It eases its workload rather than silencing it abruptly. This gradual descent allows your body to stay safe. It prevents confusion. It gives your emotions time to settle. The mind sinks inch by inch into a quieter state until thinking no longer feels like the center of your experience. As the alpha waves deepen, the default mode network also begins to shift. This network is responsible for inward-focused thought, reflection, and daydreaming.
In wakefulness, it is often active during moments of mental wandering. At night, when you lie still, it becomes especially prominent. But as your brain moves toward sleep, the default mode network also reduces its activity. Its patterns become looser. The internal dialogue becomes less structured. The flow of thought turns into something softer than thinking and more fluid than memory. This is why your thoughts sometimes transform into strange fragments just before you fall asleep. A sentence may drift into an image. A memory may turn into a dreamlike shape. A worry may soften into something symbolic. These transitions are not random. They are signs that your brain is moving from conscious thought into the deeper, healing phases of sleep. It is letting go of the rigid structure of waking cognition. It is preparing your mind for rest. As the descent continues, your brain enters the first true stage of sleep. Theta waves begin to appear. Theta waves are slower and more diffuse than alpha waves. They bring with them a feeling of drifting inward. In this stage, you may feel your body fully settling. Your limbs grow heavier. Your mind floats between awareness and something deeper. The border between thought and dream becomes thin. Theta is a transitional state that allows the brain to release cognitive control. Overthinking cannot hold its shape in theta. The loops of memory and prediction weaken. The prefrontal cortex steps back even further. Emotional tone becomes softer. You may feel as though your awareness is sinking gently. This sinking is the beginning of mental quiet. Theta waves serve an important purpose. They prepare the brain for the deeper cleaning processes that will occur later in the night. They loosen the structure of thought so that sleep can begin its healing work. Without this loosening, the brain would carry too much cognitive tension into the deeper phases of sleep. Theta waves dissolve that tension. They make room. As your brain spends more time in this early stage, something else begins to shift. Your body temperature drops slightly. This cooling signals the brain to move further into sleep. Melatonin continues to rise, supporting the descent. The muscles relax fully. The heart rate slows. Breathing becomes rhythmic and soft. Every part of your physiology participates in the transition. In this state, you might experience small involuntary muscle twitches or the feeling of falling. These sensations are normal. They are signs that the boundary between wakefulness and sleep is shifting. The brain is letting go of conscious motor control. The body is moving into a deeper layer of rest. During this early stage, thought becomes less important. The brain begins to prioritize restoration. But your mind may still drift. You may notice fragments of unfinished thoughts. You may see flashes of images. These are remnants of overthinking that have not yet been sorted. They are small echoes of the day that still linger in the mind's periphery. But even these echoes begin to fade. As your brain enters the next phase of sleep, the waves slow further. The transition from theta into early slow wave patterns begins. Slow waves create the foundation for deep sleep. They are powerful, synchronized pulses that sweep across the brain, bringing with them a heavy sense of calm. When slow waves begin to appear, the prefrontal cortex becomes almost completely inactive. Its role in overthinking pauses. The thoughts you carried into the night no longer receive the fuel that kept them looping. Overthinking cannot survive without the structure the prefrontal cortex provides. Once this structure fades, the loops dissolve. This marks the first moment when the mind is truly free from the patterns of overthinking. In early sleep, the brain has taken the first full step toward healing. The cognitive noise softens, the emotional tone quiets, the brain waves deepen, the pressure behind your thoughts disappears. You are not yet in deep sleep. The full healing has not begun, but you have crossed the threshold. The systems responsible for overthinking have stepped back. The systems responsible for healing have stepped forward. This transition is one of the most delicate moments of the night. It is here that the brain decides how it will sort your thoughts. It gathers the ideas and fragments that still linger. It prepares them for processing. It sets aside what needs to be remembered. It marks what can be let go. The healing that will come later in the night depends on what the brain collects in these early moments. Overthinking feels overwhelming when you are awake because the brain is trying to manage it with conscious effort. But once this early sleep state begins, the brain is free to use the deeper tools that it cannot access while you are conscious. Tools for reorganizing, tools for clearing, tools for emotional lightening, tools for cognitive pruning. As you drift into the first true layers of sleep, your mind is no longer responsible for sorting your thoughts. The night takes over. The brain begins to work in ways that feel invisible, but will become meaningful when you wake. This is where healing begins. And soon, as the night grows deeper, your brain will enter the phases where that healing becomes profound.
As the night deepens and your brain moves further from wakefulness, a remarkable transformation begins. You are no longer hovering at the fragile threshold between thinking and drifting. You have crossed into a quieter world, one that does not rely on conscious effort or deliberate focus. Your mind has surrendered its grip on the day, and in this surrender, the first true phases of deep healing begin. The early layers of sleep loosen the structure of thought. But deep sleep does something even more profound. It changes the very environment in which thought exists. In this state, the brain shifts from a system built for awareness to a system built for restoration. The waves of electrical activity slow into large, powerful pulses that sweep across the cortex like rolling tides. These waves silence unnecessary chatter. They reset neural circuits. They prepare the mind to be cleared and renewed. This stage of sleep is often the calmest place you will ever be, even though you never consciously remember it. Your muscles rest deeply. Your breath becomes steady and rhythmic. The heart beats in slow, consistent patterns. The body feels heavy, anchored, safe. Inside your skull, the mind is held in a state of gentle stillness. There is no urgency, no noise, no loops of thought trying to resolve themselves. Overthinking cannot survive here. It has nothing left to cling to. As slow waves rise and fall across the brain, the prefrontal cortex becomes fully quiet. The decision-making systems that fuel mental loops are offline. This is not a shutdown, it is a release. When the prefrontal cortex rests, the mental patterns that depend on it lose all intensity. The mind stops rehearsing the past or predicting the future. It stops searching for answers. It stops trying to organize, defend, or control. What remains is a kind of mental silence, a quiet field where healing can take place. During these slow waves, your brain begins to sort the massive amount of information it collected throughout the day. Every experience, conversation, emotion, and thought produces traces in your neural networks. Many of these traces are unnecessary. Some are repetitive. Others are incomplete
or poorly organized. Overthinking often emerges because the brain accumulated too many unprocessed fragments. Deep sleep gives the mind the chance to clean them. Glial cells, the support cells of the nervous system, play a crucial role in this stage. Often described as the caretakers of the brain, they become highly active during deep sleep. They clear out metabolic waste, they trim excess connections, they strengthen the pathways that matter and weaken the ones that do not. This trimming is essential. Overthinking thrives when too many neural connections compete for attention. Deep sleep reduces this competition. It simplifies the network. It makes the mind quieter. Another important process unfolds here as well. The hippocampus, the region of the brain responsible for forming memories, begins transferring information to long-term storage. But it does so selectively. Not everything is saved. Not everything deserves space. Many small details from your day are gently erased. Many unnecessary thought fragments dissolve as if they never existed. This selective forgetting is not a flaw, it is a design. The brain must forget in order to think clearly. Overthinking happens when the mind tries to hold too much. Deep sleep helps by letting go of what is unneeded. The thoughts you repeated throughout the day, the questions you asked yourself, the worries that lingered in the background, the mental noise that built up without you noticing, all begin to loosen. The brain releases them because it finally has permission to do so, permission that only sleep can grant. The emotional centers of the brain also change during deep sleep. The amygdala rests, its sensitivity drops. It no longer amplifies the emotional tone of your thoughts. Without this emotional coloration, thoughts lose much of their power. A worry without emotional tone is simply information. A memory without emotional weight is simply a picture. Deep sleep strips emotional intensity from many of the thoughts that troubled you before bed. This softening continues into REM sleep later in the night, but the foundation is built here. As slow waves deepen, something else begins to happen. Neural communication becomes highly synchronized. Instead of rapid, scattered activity, the brain moves in unison. Large groups of neurons fire and rest together. This unity creates a feeling of internal coherence. You may not feel it consciously, but your brain is moving from scattered noise into organized rhythm. This is the opposite of overthinking. Overthinking is fragmented. Deep sleep is unified. Your body also participates in this healing. As muscles relax, the signals traveling to the brain from the body grow quieter. The autonomic nervous system shifts fully into parasympathetic dominance. This state promotes calmness, digestion, repair, and hormonal balance. When the body enters this state, it sends a message to the brain saying, "You are safe, you can let go." That message is crucial. The mind cannot quiet itself if the body remains on alert. Deep sleep aligns both systems in the same direction, towards rest and restoration. In this stage, your brain performs one of its most powerful tasks. It consolidates meaning. It reviews the day as a whole rather than as scattered fragments. It looks for patterns, lessons, and connections that matter. It places things where they belong. It gives structure to what was disorganized. This meaning-making process is subtle but essential. Without it, the mind would wake feeling incomplete. When meaning is formed, mental clutter begins to dissolve. Overthinking often feels like a search for meaning without the ability to find it. Deep sleep fills that gap. It gives the mind the clarity it could not reach while awake. It reduces the need to cling to unresolved thoughts. It ensures that the next day begins with more cognitive order than the day before. As slow waves continue, growth hormone is released. This hormone repairs tissues, restores muscles, and strengthens physical recovery. But its effects extend into the brain as well. It supports the repair of neural structures. It helps maintain the long-term health of cognitive pathways. Over time, this repair reduces mental fatigue. A rested brain is less likely to overthink. It has the strength to stay steady when thoughts begin to rise. This healing happens quietly. You never feel the waves moving through your brain. You never notice the glial cells clearing neural clutter. You never sense the hippocampus deciding what to keep and what to let go. But the effects are profound. You wake with a mind that feels slightly lighter, a mind that can think more clearly, a mind that feels less crowded. The brain continues moving through cycles of deep sleep throughout the night. Each one repeats the same healing pattern. Each one strengthens the work of the last. By the time you reach morning, much of the cognitive weight you carried into the night has been sifted, sorted, and softened. You may still have thoughts, you may still have concerns, but they no longer hold the same shape. Sleep has changed the structure of your mind. Deep sleep does not erase overthinking. It reshapes the mind that produces it. It gives you the tools to approach your thoughts with more clarity and less pressure. Over time, these nightly cycles create long-term changes. The brain becomes more efficient at releasing unnecessary thoughts. It becomes more balanced. It becomes quieter. And soon, after deep sleep has done its work, the night will carry you into the stage where thoughts gain new meaning, a stage where the mind dreams, a stage where the emotional core of overthinking softens in ways that only dreams can accomplish. You are moving toward that stage now. The night is guiding you deeper. The healing is only beginning.
After deep sleep has begun clearing the mental field, the brain prepares to enter one of the most mysterious and transformative states of human physiology. You move out of the stillness of slow wave sleep and rise into the first cycle of REM, a place where the mind comes alive in a quiet world of its own. If deep sleep is the cleansing tide, REM is the gentle sculptor. It takes what deep sleep has softened and reshapes it. It takes what was tangled and gives it new meaning. It takes what was unfinished and brings it closer to resolution. You may not remember the dreams that occur in this first REM cycle. They are often fragmentary, symbolic, drifting. But while they may not stay with you in memory, they leave an imprint inside the emotional and cognitive systems of your mind. They begin the process of reorganizing thought patterns, particularly those that contribute to overthinking. Overthinking does not arise from a single thought. It arises from patterns. Patterns shaped by memory, emotion, interpretation, and habit. REM sleep works directly on these patterns. It acts as a bridge between thought and feeling, a bridge between memory and meaning, a bridge between worry and understanding. As REM begins, the brain's internal landscape changes dramatically. The prefrontal cortex, which fuels planning and structured thought, remains mostly quiet. The brake that usually governs emotion and imagination is eased. This quieting is essential because it allows the brain to explore new associations without judgment. It gives the mind freedom to roam. It invites creativity. It opens the door to transformation. At the same time, the limbic system, the emotional center of the brain, becomes more active. The amygdala lights up, but not in the same way it does during stress. In REM sleep, the amygdala is active within a safe environment. The brain is watching emotions from a distance. It is exploring them without the physical consequences of fear or tension. This safe emotional landscape is where many of the roots of overthinking begin to unwind. When you are awake, thoughts that carry emotional signals gain strength. A memory connected to worry becomes sharper. A thought connected to uncertainty repeats itself. The emotional tone binds the mind to its loops. But in REM sleep, emotional tone is decoupled from physical stress. The emotions you experience in dreams do not cause the same physiological reactions they would during the day. This separation allows the brain to reprocess emotions without reinforcing anxiety. This is one of the central ways REM sleep begins healing overthinking. It creates distance between emotion and thought. It takes the intense edge off emotional associations. It allows the brain to revisit the roots of certain thought loops in a controlled, softened environment. During REM sleep, the hippocampus and amygdala communicate in a unique pattern. The hippocampus is responsible for sorting memories. The amygdala adds emotional color. When you overthink, these two systems work together too strongly. Emotion saturates memory. Memory reinforces emotion. The loop continues. But in REM, the hippocampus processes memories in a way that reduces their emotional charge. The amygdala participates without amplifying stress. This means that memory and emotion become less tightly bound. Overthinking relies on tightly bound memory-emotion loops. REM sleep loosens those loops. It opens the mind to new interpretations. The brain also strengthens certain connections during REM and weakens others. Neural pathways that reflect understanding or insight grow stronger. Pathways that reflect repetition without resolution grow weaker. This selective strengthening is crucial because it means the brain is not simply replaying your day, it is reorganizing your interpretation of it. REM dreams play a central role in this reorganization. They often merge unrelated images, ideas, or memories. These combinations may seem strange, but they serve a purpose. They help the brain test new associations. They help it discover meaning that was not visible during wakefulness. They help it reduce the rigidity of overthinking. For example, a worry that felt sharp during the day may appear in a dream in symbolic form. It may blend with unrelated images or experiences. In this blending, the emotional weight softens. The mind begins to see the worry as less urgent. The symbolic distance creates space for healing. You may not remember the dream, but the shift remains. The default mode network also behaves differently in REM sleep. During wakefulness, this network contributes to overthinking by creating loops of internal dialogue. But in REM sleep, its patterns become more fluid. Instead of circling narrow paths, it explores wide ones. Instead of reinforcing old loops, it dissolves them. This dissolution is one of the reasons people wake from a night of good REM sleep feeling mentally refreshed. The mind has let go of old patterns. In the first REM cycle, the brain also replays certain emotional fragments that deep sleep prepared. Deep sleep organizes, REM transforms. Deep sleep clears noise, REM rewrites meaning. The two stages work together like a team, each strengthening the work of the other. The body, meanwhile, is in a unique physiological state. Muscles are held in a soft paralysis to protect you from acting out your dreams. Heart rate becomes irregular but not tense. Breathing becomes delicate. The eyes move rapidly beneath closed lids, following the shifting scenes of dreams. This physiological stillness allows the brain to explore freely without risk. In REM sleep, levels of certain neurotransmitters change dramatically. Norepinephrine, associated with fear and alertness, is nearly absent.
This is one of the reasons REM dreams do not produce lasting physiological panic. Acetylcholine is high, supporting vivid imagery and complex neural patterns. Dopamine rises in certain regions, contributing to creativity and emotional integration. Serotonin remains low, allowing flexible emotional processing. These changes create a chemical environment ideal for emotional release. The brain can revisit emotionally loaded thoughts without becoming overwhelmed. It can simulate scenarios, test interpretations, soften reactions, and update emotional templates. Overthinking often arises because the brain has too many unresolved emotional cognitive links. REM sleep adjusts these links. It dissolves some, it rewires others, it adds new pathways that support understanding. When you wake after healthy REM sleep, you may find that a problem that felt overwhelming the night before now feels manageable, or that a memory that once carried heaviness now feels lighter, or that a cycle of thought that once felt unbreakable has lost its grip. These shifts do not happen randomly. They are the result of the careful work your brain does during REM cycles. But REM does not accomplish all of this in a single cycle. This first REM cycle is gentle. It lays the foundation. It begins the emotional rewiring, but does not complete it. Later cycles will deepen and finalize the process. What begins here will be built upon throughout the night. As this first REM cycle ends, your brain will transition again. It will dip back into lighter sleep. It will revisit deep sleep. It will rise into REM once more, each time refining the healing, each time softening the patterns that fuel overthinking. For now, the night continues its work. You drift into a calmer space, carried by rhythms older than memory, shaped by systems that protect the mind in ways you cannot feel but always experience. The first transformation has begun. More will follow. The night is not finished with you yet. As the night continues, your brain prepares to enter a second round of REM, a cycle deeper and more transformative than the first. You may be unaware of the transitions between lighter sleep, slow wave sleep, and REM, but your brain moves through them with precision. Each stage builds upon the last. Each cycle refines the work already begun. And by the time you reach the second REM phase, your mind has been softened, cleared, and readied for a deeper level of healing. In the second REM cycle, the emotional and cognitive systems of your brain begin working together with greater intensity. This is the stage where patterns, not just fragments, are addressed. Overthinking is rarely contained in a single thought. It is a pattern, a rhythm, a familiar direction the mind travels when uncertain or burdened. This cycle begins the work of untangling those rhythms. As REM returns, the brain's internal chemistry shifts again. Norepinephrine remains low, allowing emotional exploration without anxiety. Acetylcholine remains high, fueling vivid neural activity. Dopamine rises in specific pathways, supporting insight and emotional openness. These chemical patterns create a mental landscape that is uniquely capable of change. The dreams of this cycle often have more structure than the ones in the first REM phase. They may reflect themes from your life, ideas you have struggled with, or symbols that represent deeper emotional truths. You may not remember these dreams when you wake, but they guide the brain in reorganizing your internal world. In these dreams, your mind is not simply replaying memories, it is reshaping them. It is weaving them into new meaning. Overthinking often arises because the mind has formed rigid associations. A memory becomes tied to a fear, a thought becomes tied to a prediction, a feeling becomes tied to expectation. These associations are not easily undone while awake. They are reinforced by stress, repetition, and attention. But in REM cycle 2, the brain weakens these rigid ties and explores new ones. This is one of the reasons dreams often feel unusual or imaginative. They blend unrelated pieces of information. They merge different memories. They pull symbolic fragments together. This blending is not random. It helps the brain loosen patterns that have become too fixed. It allows the mind to explore possibilities that waking consciousness would reject or ignore. In this exploration, cognitive and emotional freedom begins. The amygdala, which is often the source of emotional intensity during wakefulness, remains active in REM. But because the body is in a state of paralysis and the stress chemistry is low, the amygdala expresses emotion without triggering fear. This allows the brain to examine emotional themes without overwhelming the body. It is as if the mind is saying, "Let us look at this feeling from a safe distance. Let us understand it without allowing it to take over." Overthinking often occurs when the emotional tone of a thought becomes too strong. That tone amplifies the thought. It makes it repeat. It gives it weight. But in REM, emotional tone is separated from physical reactivity. The feeling is present, but its power is softened. This softening helps the brain rewrite the emotional meaning of certain thoughts. The hippocampus, responsible for memory formation, communicates actively with the amygdala during this cycle. Together, they decide which emotional tags to weaken and which ones to strengthen. Memories that carry unnecessary emotional weight may be softened. Memories that require clarity may be reorganized. This process does not erase anything. It reorganizes, it cleans, it heals. One of the most important functions of REM cycle 2 is cognitive integration. Thoughts that were scattered become connected. Thoughts that were too tightly connected become separated. This integration helps reduce the mental clutter that contributes to overthinking. Many people wake feeling clearer after a night of healthy REM sleep because the brain has created internal order. In this stage, the default mode network becomes active again, but in a different pattern than during wakefulness. Instead of creating loops, it forms broad associative networks. It explores wide connections. It considers possibilities.
It allows the mind to rehearse different ways of interpreting experience. This wide associative processing breaks apart the narrow cognitive paths that overthinking creates. You may notice this effect in small ways when you wake. A problem feels less sharp. A worry feels less important. A memory that once felt heavy feels neutral. The mind has been practicing letting go. During this cycle, the brain also accesses deeper layers of identity. Overthinking often arises because you carry unspoken expectations about yourself. You worry about not doing enough, not being enough, or not knowing enough. These inner pressures shape thought patterns. But in REM cycle 2, the brain revisits these identity themes. It examines them without judgment. It tests alternative interpretations. It rehearses different versions of the self. This process is gentle. You do not feel it happening, but you may wake with a sense of steadiness, a sense that your identity is not as fragile as your thoughts made it seem, a sense that you can approach the world with a quieter mind. Another important process in this stage is the weakening of unhelpful predictions. Overthinking is often fueled by the brain's tendency to predict negative outcomes. These predictions are not conscious choices. They arise from neural patterns that formed long ago. But REM cycle 2 helps loosen these predictions. It exposes them to new emotional contexts. It tests them in symbolic scenarios. It rebalances the mental scales. When the brain repeatedly simulates emotional challenges in dreams, but without physical consequences, it learns that certain fears do not need to be so strong. This relearning lowers the intensity of overthinking during the day. It helps you face uncertainty without spiraling into mental loops. The brain also begins updating its internal model of the world. This model includes your assumptions about yourself, others, and the environment. If your internal model is too rigid, overthinking becomes a way of trying to force clarity. But in REM sleep, the brain updates this model. It integrates new information. It adjusts interpretations. It allows for more flexibility. Flexibility is the opposite of overthinking. Overthinking traps the mind in narrow corridors. REM sleep opens doors and windows. It creates pathways out of mental confinement. In this stage, emotions and thought patterns blend in a way that daytime consciousness cannot achieve. The mind is free to imagine without fear, free to reinterpret without pressure, free to revisit memories without pain. This freedom is the essence of REM sleep. It is why REM is essential for mental health. It is why people who lack REM sleep often struggle with intrusive thoughts. As REM cycle 2 unfolds, the brain prepares for the cycles that follow. Each later cycle will be longer, deeper, and more emotionally transformative. But this second cycle is where momentum builds. It is where the mind begins to move toward true clarity. It is where the first hints of insight appear. You may not be aware of them, but the brain feels them. It follows them. It builds upon them. As this cycle comes to a close, your brain will settle into a lighter stage again. It will drift downward into another round of deep sleep. It will continue clearing and preparing. And then, as the night progresses, it will carry you into the REM cycles that hold the greatest potential for healing. For now, you rest in the quiet power of this second cycle. Your thoughts are being softened. Your internal world is being reorganized. The healing is deepening. And soon, the night will carry you further into the transformation that awaits.
As the night drifts forward and your body lies in stillness, the mind prepares to enter one of its most meaningful phases of healing. You have already moved through cycles of clearing, loosening, and softening. You have passed through deep waves of neurological calm. You have flowed through the first stages of emotional cognitive transformation. Now, somewhere between the quietest hours of the night and the early whispers of dawn, your brain rises into a later REM cycle, a stage far deeper in its purpose than the earlier ones. This is the cycle where your inner voice begins to change. The earlier REM phases untangled emotional weight and softened old patterns, but this stage works on something more foundational. It works on how you speak to yourself, how you interpret your experiences, how you measure your worth, how you imagine your future. Overthinking is rarely about the thoughts themselves. It is about the voice behind them, the identity shaping them, the assumptions beneath them. And this REM cycle touches those layers. As this late-night REM period begins, the brain lights up in distinctive patterns. The emotional regions remain active, but the activation has changed shape. It is no longer exploratory. It is reflective. It is integrating. The brain is trying to understand the story of who you are, using the material that earlier cycles prepared. Your sense of self is not fixed. It is a constantly updated narrative shaped by memory, emotion, interpretation, and prediction. When this narrative becomes rigid or self-critical, overthinking grows strong. When the narrative softens and reopens, thought begins to move freely again. This REM cycle is one of the only times in the 24-hour rhythm when your identity becomes fluid enough to reshape. Dreams in this cycle often carry emotional symbolism connected to self-worth, belonging, purpose, and responsibility. Even if you never remember them, they are doing work inside you. They are altering associations. They are rehearsing new interpretations. They are shifting emotional weight from one place to another. They are allowing the self to loosen the grip of old stories. The hippocampus and amygdala work together again here, but the dynamic has matured. Earlier in the night, they worked to weaken unnecessary emotional tags. Now they begin attaching gentler ones. This does not mean falsely positive emotions. It means balanced ones, more humane ones, more grounded ones. The brain is trying to reflect your life back to you in a way that feels less heavy. This cycle is especially powerful for people who overthink because overthinking is often tied to hidden internal narratives. Narratives like, I must do everything right, or I cannot make mistakes, or I am falling behind, or I am not enough. During the day, these narratives may feel like truth, but in REM sleep, the brain sees them as patterns, and patterns can be reshaped. In this phase, the prefrontal cortex remains quiet, but the medial prefrontal regions involved in self-referential processing begin to shimmer with activity. These areas allow your dreams to form scenarios where you explore alternate versions of yourself. A version that feels capable, a version that feels understood, a version that feels free of the heaviness you carry. A version that does not overthink because it trusts itself. You may not remember these dream selves, but the pathways they activate stay with you. Meanwhile, the temporoparietal junction and posterior cingulate cortex, areas involved in perspective taking and self-awareness, become active in symbolic ways. The brain is practicing empathy toward the self. It is practicing seeing yourself from outside yourself. This is one of the most profound gifts of REM sleep. It gives you distance from your own thoughts. It liberates you from the narrow mind that overthinking creates. The default mode network becomes active again, but not in the looping way it does during wakefulness. It becomes creative, integrative. It begins stitching together the fragments of memory and emotion into new meaning. The narrative of the self becomes fluid, open to revision. This flexibility counteracts the rigidity at the heart of overthinking. In these late REM cycles, the brain often brings old emotional material to the surface, but now it does so with context, clarity, and gentleness. An old memory may appear, not to haunt you, but to loosen its hold. A past mistake may revolve in symbolic form, not to judge you, but to release its intensity. A fear may surface, not to overwhelm you, but to let the brain practice neutrality toward it. This is emotional rehearsal in its purest form. It is healing without effort, understanding without intention, growth without struggle. As dreams unfold, the motor cortex remains inhibited. The body does not move, but the mind practices movement internally. It rehearses approaching challenges. It rehearses stepping away from harmful patterns. It rehearses protecting itself in new ways. It rehearses speaking to itself with more compassion. These simulations do not create instant change, but they shift the internal landscape enough that you wake able to think differently. The autonomic nervous system also participates in this integration. Although the body remains still, the heart rate shifts gently in response to emotional currents. These shifts help the brain calibrate its emotional responses. They train emotional regulation without exposing the body to stress. Over time, this calibration allows overthinking to lose its grip. The emotional signals that once fueled mental loops become softer, more manageable. During this REM cycle, the brain also refines its predictions about the world. Prediction is fundamental to the mind. The brain constantly anticipates outcomes, and these predictions heavily influence thought patterns. When predictions skew negative or fearful, overthinking grows. When predictions become balanced, thought becomes adaptive. REM sleep updates these predictions based on experiences, emotions, and new interpretations. It makes the mind more open to uncertainty. It reduces the need to anticipate everything. As the cycle deepens, identity itself begins to shift. This does not mean becoming a different person. It means becoming a more accurate version of yourself, a version not shaped by fear or pressure, a version not trapped inside thought loops, a version able to hold experiences without overanalyzing them. Your dreams are not telling you who you should be. They are helping you remember who you already are beneath the layers of worry. Somewhere in this cycle, the brain examines your internal voice. The tone of that voice often drives overthinking. If the inner voice is harsh, the mind doubles its efforts to avoid mistakes. If the inner voice is scared, the mind tries to control everything. If the inner voice is doubtful, the mind attacks itself with questions. In REM sleep, the tone of that inner voice is softened. It is rewritten. It is made more human. This shift is subtle, but you feel it in the morning. You wake with a slightly kinder view of yourself. The harshness has faded. The inner landscape feels less sharp. You may not consciously notice the change, but you feel it in the way your thoughts move. They do not latch on to everything with the same urgency. They do not spiral so easily. They do not cling to worry with the same intensity. During this cycle, the emotional brain and thinking brain work together without conflict. They move in harmony, shaping a narrative that supports mental quiet rather than mental overload. This collaboration is something that rarely happens during wakefulness, when logic and emotion pull in opposite directions. But in REM sleep, they operate as partners. This partnership is one of the reasons sleep is essential for mental health. As the cycle continues, the brain prepares you for a renewed sense of identity by morning. It is building the foundations of clarity. It is healing the fractures in self-talk. It is reducing the weight of cognitive noise. It is giving you the chance to approach your life with a quieter inner world. When this cycle eventually fades and you drift into the next stage of sleep, the work will continue. But the deepest identity repair begins here, in this quiet dreamlight, in these symbolic landscapes, in this gentle restructuring of the self. You are not aware of any of it happening, yet everything inside you is shifting. You are becoming lighter. You are becoming more grounded. You are becoming yourself again, without the pressure of thought.
There is a moment deep in the night when the world outside feels impossibly still. Even the air seems to rest. Time slows in a way you can almost feel beneath your ribs, and the darkness around you becomes a soft shelter that holds you without asking anything in return. These hours are often the most restorative, though you are never aware of them. Your mind is traveling through the deepest landscape of sleep, moving between powerful waves of restoration and rich cycles of emotional integration. It is here, in this quiet middle of the night, that some of the most profound work of healing overthinking begins. By now, your brain has already cleared much of the surface-level cognitive clutter. It has loosened the tight emotional bonds that kept certain thoughts repeating. It has softened the voice of self-judgment and reshaped the internal narrative that drives worry. Yet something deeper remains. The patterns that fuel overthinking are rarely only emotional, they are also neurological. They sit within the architecture of your brain, woven into pathways shaped by repetition, habit, and experience. To create a lasting shift, sleep must do more than soothe, it must rebuild. As you drift through these quietest hours, the brain returns once more to slow-wave sleep. These waves are different from the early night waves. They are heavier, slower, more synchronized. They move like rolling tides across the cortex, sweeping across networks that hold long-term patterns. During this stage, synaptic pruning becomes more intense. The brain trims away connections that are unnecessary, weak, or unhelpful. This is not forgetting, it is refining. It is reducing noise in the system so that thought can move more clearly. Overthinking often arises because the brain has too many competing connections, too many pathways trying to interpret the world at once, too many associations tied to the same emotional signal. Slow-wave sleep helps by reducing this overwhelm at a structural level. It strengthens the pathways that matter and weakens the ones that create confusion. This quiet neural pruning is one of the deepest forms of mental healing. It is not something you feel, but it shapes your thoughts when you wake. At the same time, glial cells continue their cleansing work. Earlier in the night, they cleared metabolic waste, creating space for healthier neural activity. Now they refine that work, ensuring that the inner environment is balanced and stable. The glymphatic system moves fluid through the spaces between brain cells, washing away what was loosened earlier. In people who struggle with overthinking, this cleansing process can be especially important. A clearer physical environment supports a clearer mental one. As the brain cleans and prunes, your emotional centers remain quiet. The amygdala stays calmer than it was during REM. Its lowered tone gives the brain permission to focus on clarity rather than emotional interpretation. This respite is important. When the amygdala rests, it allows thought to move without fear. It allows the mind to examine patterns without expecting danger. For many people, overthinking emerges because the brain anticipates emotional threat in everyday situations. But during these quiet hours, those networks rest. This rest teaches the brain that not every thought needs emotional weight. After a period of deep, slow-wave sleep, the brain rises again toward REM. This REM cycle is longer than the earlier ones. It carries more narrative complexity. It has more emotional depth. It is more integrative. Dreams in this stage often feel symbolic, layered, or emotionally meaningful. Even if you never remember them, they are shaping how your mind interprets your life. During this REM cycle, the brain continues restructuring the connections that influence overthinking. The prefrontal cortex remains mostly quiet, allowing creativity and emotional insight to flow without judgment. The limbic system becomes active again, but now it operates in a balanced way. The emotions that arise in these dreams are not fear-driven, they are exploratory. The brain is practicing responses, relationships, and interpretations in a space free of consequence. One of the most important processes in this cycle is the weakening of threat predictions. The human brain is designed to anticipate danger. This ability keeps us alive, but when it becomes too sensitive, it fuels overthinking. During these late-night REM cycles, the brain rewrites these threat predictions, reducing their intensity. It rehearses emotional scenarios without activating stress hormones. This teaches the mind that not every unknown carries danger. It teaches emotional calm at a neurological level. The default mode network also becomes active again, but its patterns are different from wakefulness. During the day, this network can fuel rumination, but in REM, it becomes a tool for creativity and integration. It helps weave experiences into a coherent narrative. It helps connect emotional insight with memory. It helps create a story of the self that is more stable and less reactive. Overthinking thrives when the internal story is chaotic. REM helps restore order. In these quiet hours, dreams may draw from distant memories or recurring themes. They may blend people, places, and moments in ways that seem strange but meaningful. This blending gives the brain flexibility. It breaks the rigid boundaries that overthinking depends on. Overthinking is narrow and repetitive. REM is wide and imaginative. The contrast itself is healing. At a deeper level, the brain is recalibrating its sense of importance. When you're awake, certain thoughts feel urgent because they trigger strong emotional signals. But in REM, the emotional brain and thinking brain communicate in new ways. They negotiate importance. They downgrade what does not matter. They elevate what does. Many people wake after a restorative night of sleep, feeling surprised that a worry they held the day before no longer feels sharp. That shift begins here. Identity work continues as well. The medial prefrontal regions responsible for self-referential processing gently reshape how you view yourself. Harsh interpretations soften, self-blame loosens, emotional narratives become more compassionate. Overthinking often comes from seeing the self through a lens of pressure or inadequacy. REM helps rewrite that lens, giving you a more balanced inner perspective. Meanwhile, the autonomic nervous system shifts into a rhythm that supports emotional resilience. The heart rate varies slightly in response to dream activity, teaching the body flexibility. This flexibility becomes important during the day. It helps you respond to thoughts without being overwhelmed. It helps you stay grounded when the mind becomes active. It reduces the need for the brain to overanalyze as a form of emotional protection. These quietest hours of night serve another purpose. They separate you from the momentum of waking life. When you're awake, thoughts follow a familiar path shaped by habit. At night, the brain interrupts that momentum. It breaks the chain. It allows thought to exist without the pressure of the next moment. This interruption gives the brain the opportunity to choose new paths in the morning, paths that are calmer, softer, more flexible. During this hour, the night is doing its deepest work. It is changing the architecture of your thoughts. It is shaping the emotional foundations beneath those thoughts. It is giving your mind a structure that supports peace rather than worry. You are unaware of this transformation, yet your brain is building the conditions for clarity. It is teaching your thoughts how to move gently. It is creating the space where overthinking loses its power. It is preparing you for the final stages of emotional integration that will come in the later REM cycles when the body begins to prepare for morning. For now, the night holds you in its quietest embrace. You are drifting through the deepest layers of restoration. Your brain is clearing, shaping, and renewing you. And when you rise again into the next cycle, the work will continue in ways even more transformative.
As the night's longest stretch begins to fade, you enter a stage of sleep that carries a quiet but profound power. It is the final REM cycle, often the richest in imagery, the most emotionally layered,
and the most transformative in meaning. The brain has already traveled through waves of cleansing, pruning, integration, and emotional restructuring. It has softened rigid loops, rewoven old narratives, and created openings where clarity can emerge. Now, in these last moments before dawn, it begins the final refinement of your inner world. This cycle is longer than all the ones before it. It stretches out across the night like a final movement in a symphony, pulling together every theme the brain has worked on. The dreams here are often vivid, creative, and emotionally meaningful, even if you never recall them. They represent the brain's last opportunity to shape the story you will carry into the morning. As the cycle unfolds, the brain becomes intensely active. Electrical rhythms rise, neural pathways communicate rapidly. The emotional brain lights up in patterns that mirror deep inner work. But the body remains still, held safely in REM paralysis, allowing the mind to explore without physical consequence. This stillness is essential. It gives the brain the freedom to imagine, to simulate, to resolve, to test new possibilities. During wakefulness, thoughts often feel tied to reality, but in REM, the mind can explore without limits. It can merge memories, reinterpret experiences, and build emotional scenarios that help release what you carried. This freedom is necessary because overthinking is tied to emotional rigidity. It is the mind holding tightly to certain interpretations because it feels unsafe to release them. REM sleep creates that safety. In this last REM cycle, the hippocampus and amygdala continue their dialogue, but the tone has changed. Earlier in the night, they worked on weakening emotional intensity. Later, they reorganized associations. Now they begin to finalize the emotional meaning of your recent experiences. This meaning-making process is one of the deepest forms of healing. It allows you to wake with a clearer understanding of yourself, even if that understanding is subtle and wordless. Sometimes the dreams in this cycle revolve around themes of closure. You may not remember them, but their emotional imprint stays. A situation from the past may replay in a softened form. A fear may appear as a symbolic challenge that you meet calmly. A worry may dissolve in a scene that carries emotional balance. The brain is rehearsing your resilience. It is teaching you how to respond differently without the pressure of waking life. During this cycle, the medial prefrontal cortex becomes gently active again. This region is involved in how you understand yourself, how you interpret your emotions, and how you construct meaning. The brain is not judging you, it is refining your inner narrative. It is helping you become more aligned with the version of yourself that does not carry constant cognitive weight. Your internal voice is also being shaped in this cycle. In the earlier parts of the night, your brain softened the harsh tone that fuels overthinking. Now it begins to rebuild a voice that supports calmness. It rehearses self-talk that is steadier and more grounded. You may not hear it consciously, but you will feel its presence in the morning when your mind moves more gently. The default mode network becomes active again in its creative mode. It weaves memories, insights, and emotions into a coherent arc. It ties loose ends together. It forms connections that help you understand your life in softer, more balanced ways. This network, when active during the day, can become a source of rumination, but in the final REM cycle, it becomes a tool for healing. It allows the mind to see itself with compassion rather than criticism. Identity continues to shift during this stage, not dramatically, but meaningfully. The brain adjusts the story you carry about yourself so it becomes more flexible. Overthinking thrives on rigidity, on narrow definitions, on strict expectations. REM sleep loosens these boundaries. It restores your ability to adapt, to change perspective, to hold multiple interpretations without fear. Deep emotional memories are often processed during this cycle. These memories do not return as images or narratives. They return as feelings, sensations, and emotional tones. The brain revisits them with new context, reducing their intensity. This allows the emotional load beneath overthinking to lighten. When you wake, the mind feels less fragile because its emotional foundation has been stabilized. During this time, the autonomic nervous system also undergoes a subtle calibration. Even though the body is still, the heart responds gently to the emotional flow of dreams. These shifts in heart rate variability strengthen emotional flexibility. Flexibility is essential for managing thoughts during the day. A flexible emotional system is less reactive. It is less likely to interpret uncertainty as danger. It is less likely to trigger spirals of overthinking. As the cycle continues, the brain rehearses waking itself. This rehearsal is not about alertness. It is about preparing your mind to rise into the day with clarity. Cortisol levels begin to increase naturally, not in a stressful way, but in a gentle upward arc. This rise helps awaken the prefrontal cortex slowly, giving it the strength it needs to think clearly in the morning without collapsing back into mental loops. At the same time, serotonin pathways begin to show early signs of reactivation. Serotonin supports mood stability. It also helps regulate the boundary between dreaming and wakefulness. As this activation begins, the emotional work of REM becomes grounded in the neurochemistry that will guide your waking experience. Around this time, dreams may become more narrative, more connected, more aligned with themes of everyday life. These dreams help the brain test your sense of control, belonging, and capability. They help you practice emotional boundaries. They help you practice facing situations that once overwhelmed you. They help you develop resilience that carries into daylight. One of the most remarkable aspects of this final cycle is how the brain prepares the mind for thought. Not overthinking, not pressure, not compulsive mental looping, but clear, gentle, adaptive thought. The kind that moves freely, the kind that does not cling to every concern, the kind that allows space between awareness and emotion. Overthinking is not eliminated in a single night, but its power weakens because the brain has reshaped the conditions that allow it. By the time this REM cycle ends, your cognitive pathways have been reorganized, your emotional patterns have been softened, your internal voice has been adjusted, your identity has been grounded, your sense of threat has been reduced, your predictions have become more balanced. These changes are subtle. They unfold slowly across nights and weeks and months. But this cycle is the culmination of that nightly work. It is the place where the mind chooses clarity over noise, where it chooses balance over intensity, where it chooses openness over fear. As the brain begins moving toward lighter sleep once again, the final touches of emotional integration are completed. The dreams fade, the waves soften, the night prepares you for the moment when light will return. You remain unaware of everything the brain has done, yet you will feel its effects. You will wake with a mind that is steadier, a mind that is less burdened, a mind that no longer holds every thought with the same urgency. You are not simply moving toward waking, you are moving toward renewal, toward a mind capable of beginning again.
There comes a moment, gently and almost invisibly, when the night begins to loosen its hold on you. It does not happen suddenly. There is no clear line between darkness and waking. Instead, the transition unfolds slowly, like soft light spreading across the horizon before the sun appears. You remain inside sleep for a while, but something inside you shifts. The brain begins preparing for your return to the waking world, carrying with it all the healing it has done through the long night. The final REM cycle has ended, its emotional and cognitive work complete. The brain settles into a lighter stage of sleep, giving the body space to adjust, to stretch internally, to prepare gently for awareness. Your breathing deepens, your heart rate steadies into a comfortable rhythm. These physiological shifts signal that the mind is approaching the boundary between sleep and waking. It is a delicate threshold, and the brain crosses it with care. Cortisol levels continue their natural rise, not as a force of stress, but as a source of morning energy. When this hormone is balanced, it serves an essential purpose. It awakens the brain's capacity for attention and thought. It helps you feel alert rather than overwhelmed. During the day, cortisol can become sharp if your mind is tense, but in the morning, after a night of healing, it rises in a gentler arc. It meets a mind that has been cleared, softened, and reorganized. This harmony allows you to wake without the heaviness that overthinking often brings. As the prefrontal cortex slowly reactivates, it comes online with renewed strength. This region has been resting for many hours, allowed to step back while the night repaired what needed repair. Now it rises with clarity. Its networks have been reorganized, its workload has been reset. Instead of carrying yesterday's cognitive noise, it carries a cleaner field of thought. This quiet strength is one of the gifts of sleep. It allows you to think clearly without collapsing into loops. It allows the mind to move rather than circle. The emotional centers of the brain also adjust to morning. The amygdala, which was deeply engaged in REM without stress, now holds a calmer baseline. It does not rush into activation, as it sometimes does when you are overtired or overwhelmed. Instead, it behaves like a well-tuned instrument, ready to respond when needed, but not hyper-reactive. This emotional steadiness is crucial for keeping overthinking at a distance. The brain is not expecting threat. It is not scanning for danger. It is not preparing for emotional disruption. It feels safe. This sense of safety, though subtle, is one of the most powerful outcomes of a healing night of sleep. Overthinking often takes root when the brain feels unsafe. Not unsafe in a physical sense, but emotionally unsafe. Unsafe in the sense of not knowing what to expect. Unsafe in the sense of feeling unprepared. Unsafe in the sense of carrying too much. But after a night of transformation, the brain feels more grounded, more capable, more balanced. This inner safety reduces the need for the mind to cling to thoughts in an attempt to regain control. As the morning light begins to brighten the world, the default mode network activates once again, but now in its healthiest form. Instead of looping through worries or rehearsing past mistakes, it stretches itself gently into reflection. It surveys the landscape of your life with a softer lens. It thinks in broader strokes. The harshness is gone. The urgency has dissipated. What remains is a mind capable of thinking without chaining itself to every thought. This is one of the deepest signs that sleep has healed your overthinking. The mind still thinks, but it does not cling. It observes without spiraling. It evaluates without self-judgment. It remembers without emotional overload. You may not consciously recognize this shift, but you feel it. You feel it in the openness of your morning thoughts. You feel it in the calm that fills your breath. You feel it in the way the world looks different, not because the world changed, but because your inner world did. As morning approaches, the brain finalizes its work. It organizes new memories. It stabilizes the emotional rewiring done during REM.
It grounds the insights created by symbolic dreams. It strengthens the cognitive pathways that support resilience. The mind becomes ready for clarity, ready for connection, ready for movement. It does not erase challenges, but it prepares you to face them with steadiness rather than fear. In these last moments before waking, your brain enters a brief, gentle stage where dreams blend with awareness. You may notice faint images, soft thoughts, or a drifting feeling. This borderland is the mind's way of easing you into the day. It is not rushing. It is not forcing alertness. It is guiding you softly out of the world of sleep. The body begins to gain subtle awareness of itself. Muscles loosen, breath deepens, the chest rises and falls with more intention. When you finally wake, you enter the world with a mind that has been shaped by the night. You may not feel these changes explicitly, but they are present in everything you do. They are present in the way you breathe when you first sit up. They are present in the way you interpret the first thought of the day. They are present in the way you respond to small stressors with more calm than before. They are present in the quiet tenderness you carry toward yourself before the day demands your attention. You open your eyes with a sense of space. That sense of space is the absence of mental clutter. It is the absence of rigid patterns. It is the absence of emotional heaviness. The night has not erased your thoughts. It has made room for them. It has given them space to breathe. It has allowed them to move gently rather than pressing against the edges of your awareness. Across the next hours, you may notice small reflections of the work your brain did. You may recall a dream fragment that feels strangely meaningful. You may find that a problem that once felt overwhelming now seems manageable. You may realize that your thoughts are not pulling you into the same loops. You may sense that you are carrying yourself differently. This is the morning after healing. Not dramatic, not loud, not triumphant, but quiet, steady, true. A shift in texture rather than shape. A shift in tone rather than content. The inner voice that once felt sharp now feels softer. The thoughts that once held weight feel lighter. The meaning of your world feels broader. Your mind has been rebalanced. Overthinking will return at times. It is part of being human, but it no longer controls the terrain of your inner world. It no longer has the same power. Each night, the brain will continue this work. It will clear, it will reshape, it will soften. It will guide you back to clarity. The healing you experienced tonight is part of a rhythm that protects you, a rhythm that shapes your mind, a rhythm that restores your sense of self. As you move into the morning, you carry the night's work with you. It rests in your breath, in your thoughts, in the steadiness of your heart, in the calm behind your awareness. You walk into the day not as someone defined by overthinking, but as someone continuously renewed by the quiet intelligence of your own brain. The night did not simply help you sleep, it helped you begin again. It helped you return to yourself. It helped you rise with a mind capable of moving gently through the world. And as the light opens across the morning sky, you step into a new day with clarity. A clarity shaped by the deepest places within you. A clarity you earned simply by resting.
You have reached the end of this quiet journey, a journey that unfolded not through effort, but through the simple act of resting. As you lie here now, with the night wrapped softly around you, know that your brain has been working in ways deeper and more compassionate than you may ever feel directly. Every hour you rested gave your mind the chance to release old patterns, loosen emotional weight, and rebuild the clarity that helps you move gently through the world. Overthinking is not a flaw in you. It is a sign of a mind trying to protect you, a mind that cares deeply. But it is also a mind that needs rest, and tonight you allowed it. You gave your brain the space to clear what was too heavy, to soften what was too sharp, and to reshape what once felt tangled. The night took your thoughts and held them, not with judgment, but with understanding. It carried you through cycles of renewal and returned you to yourself with more balance than before. If you are still awake, let your breath slow as you listen to the very end of my voice. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to solve, nothing left to untangle. Your brain knows how to care for you. It knows how to restore the calm beneath your thoughts. It knows how to bring you back to clarity each time you fall into worry. Your only task now is to rest and let the night complete its work. And if you have already drifted into sleep, then your brain is exactly where it needs to be, healing, softening, reorganizing, letting go. Thank you for spending this quiet time with me. May you wake with a lighter mind, a steadier heart, and the gentle clarity that comes from a night of true restoration. I will be here again whenever you need a place to rest, reflect, and return to yourself. Good night. Rest deeply.